So today I'm launching our Pride Week using the proclamation that we have written today, and I'll read this to you. Whereas Utah Pride began with a small informal gathering of Salt Lake City's LGBTQ community in 1974 and is now a cultural event drawing more than 50,000 people annually. And whereas Salt Lake City and Washington Square Park have hosted Utah Pride for decades, welcoming participants from the LGBTQ community, their friends and family, and straight allies who join in to show their support. And whereas this year we are making the 50th anniversary of the Stonewall Riots in New York City, a seminal moment in the fight for LGBTQ equality. And whereas we honor those in our community who have dedicated their lives to the cause of justice for all, including allies and advocates Archie Archuleta and Boyer Jarvis, whom we've lost this year, and Pete Suazo, whose early efforts to pass a comprehensive hate crime law were realized this legislative session. And whereas Salt Lake City has a dedicated history of creating and supporting policies and programs that stand against discrimination and promote equality and opportunity for all members of the LGBTQ community. And whereas the 2019 Utah Pride Festival is an uplifting reminder of how much we have to celebrate and should prompt us to never let up in our efforts to ensure full equality, inclusion, and empowerment for every member of the LGBTQ plus community. Now, therefore, I, Jacqueline M. Biskupski, Mayor of Salt Lake City, do hereby proclaim May 28th through June 2nd, 2019 as Pride Week in Salt Lake City, and encourage all residents and visitors to embrace Pride's message of equality and unity, and to enjoy the festival in peace, safety, and love.
Woo!
That's for you.
Thank you so much. Good morning, everyone. My name is Rob Mullman. I'm the Executive Director of the Utah Pride Center. Now, I think that we all know that after a bit of rain comes rainbows. And let me tell you, on Saturday and Sunday, there are going to be rainbows everywhere, whether or not they are real rainbows or the artificial flags and paraphernalia that we bring to this amazing space. So we look forward to seeing everybody here this coming weekend. I wanted to just talk about two quick things, the purpose of the Pride Festival and then our theme for this year. So the Pride Festival, as Mayor Biskupski said, is in its 44th year. It started in a park in 1974 with a few people gathering together, and there are about 50,000 people who now come to celebrate Pride in Salt Lake City, and that is important. It is imperative to remember that the Pride Festival is really a fundraiser for the amazing and life-saving work of the Pride Center. And at our center, we know that we are the only LGBTQ organization in Utah that provides services and programs and for the community from cradle to grave. We have programs for our youth and family programs from 2 to 20. We have programs for our senior LGBT community members, for people of color, for our trans community and friends. So it is really imperative that this fabulous festival be recognized as that amazing fundraiser that keeps our doors open. And also to remember that the Pride Center has been focused on the health and safety of LGBT individuals in Utah since 1991. The second thing that I want to talk about very quickly is the theme of this year's festival. And it is 50 years of Stonewall, exist, resist, and persist. I think today, with all the celebrations and the fun and frivolity, we too often forget that Pride was started as a riot. And in 50 years ago, the Stonewall Riots were really one of those catalytic events that kicked off our current Pride movement. There are many different versions of what happened that night, but one part of the story that has really affected me and that I have read about is about the African-American lesbian. As she was being dragged away by the police, she shouted to the crowd outside the Stonewall Inn, "Why aren't you doing something?" And that keeps me going as director of the Pride Center. We have got to be doing something. And people did start doing something. People like Marsha P. Johnson, Sylvia Rivera, Barbara Giddings, Harvey Milk. And in Salt Lake City, we're talking about people like Mayor Biskupski, Derek Kitchen, Chris Wharton, as the mayor mentioned, Archie Archuleta, Boyer Jarvis. These people are making and have made important changes in our culture and in our society today, and we thank them. Whether or not that cry of "why aren't you doing something" is just part of the mythology or not, it drives us at the Pride Center today. We have made strides, but there is still an incredible amount of work to do, and we've got to keep going forward. And that comes to the second part of our theme for this year, which is exist, resist, and persist. Exist. Our queer community has been part of the Utah community forever. We are your brothers, your sisters, your uncles, and your aunts. Our existence is not optional. We resist any plans and any procedures that are going to try and take away our rights. Currently, we're thinking about some of the incredibly hurtful and harmful policies that are being put in place by the Trump administration around our trans community and our trans brothers. We will resist our erasure, our marginalization, and any attempts to minimize our members of our communities. And persist, some will say we carry on forward firmly, some will say obstinately, but we will keep persisting in our aim to reach a fair, equitable, and safe Utah for everyone. We have hope that there is a better future for all. I want to conclude by particularly thanking Mayor Biskupski today, not only for this flag raising, which is such an important part of our Pride celebrations, and also is that recognition by city leadership and people in positions of power that our communities are important. I want to thank her for her tireless work as mayor over the last 4 years, and particularly for her support of the Utah Pride Center and for her constant striving to provide voices and spaces for all of Utah's community and Salt Lake community that has been marginalized or pushed to the edges. Thank you so much, and we wish you all the very best.
Cool.
Thank you, everyone. Let us raise this flag.
All right.
Come on, keep going, babe.
Keep passing the torch.
Woo.
Yay!